Welcome back to the Hill Update. I've got Jeremy Patzer joining me from Saskatchewan this week. Let's have a look at the question in the House that you posed last session back in the spring, because you were talking about carbon tax. We got something back here from the last session.
And this question is for the Prime Minister, that the carbon tax chaos is unfolding within the Liberal tent itself. We saw last week, just as I was about to hold a thunderous rally of 1,000 common sense Nova Scotia
Grasslands.
Mr. Speaker, as we start summer, the Liberals are going to rain on everyone's Canada Day parade. You see, on July 1st, Canadians will be forced to pay a second carbon tax. Combined with the first carbon tax, gas prices will go up eventually to 61 cents per litre higher. But it doesn't stop there. They're going to raise both carbon taxes so that every Saskatchewan household has to pay another $3,000 per year. Wow. After 8 years of this Liberal government, Canadians cannot afford another tax increase by this government. No. Will the Liberals listen to Canadians and cancel both of their failed carbon taxes before July 1st?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, again, if the member opposite wants to talk about clean fuel regulations, let's do that. I thought the party opposite was really interested in technological solutions to climate change. Well, let's talk about how clean fuel regulations help to drive clean technologies. That means better biofuels, developing through hydrogen, all of which supports our economy of the future. It's very important that we take the steps. It's not just one thing in isolation. It's the fact that we have a clean fuels fund that helps to support people. We'd have an all-encompassing framework that covers all sectors of our economy so that we can plan for a strong economy in the future.
Okay, so there we go, Jeremy. You were talking about a carbon tax, and the party has been for the last couple of years. You were talking about the challenge that we would have in terms of inflation and stuff back last June.
Yeah, absolutely, because they're piling on and pancaking carbon taxes and regulations on top of the people who are producing our food, right? So when you look at, again, a basic farming operation, they don't have alternatives. They only have one option for how they're going to get their tractor up and down the field, how they're going to get the combine up and down the field. You have to grow the food. You need fertilizer to grow that food, and the clean fuel regulations, the carbon tax, and other government policies are just getting in the way, driving up the cost for our farmers who are doing the best that they can, and they have every incentive to try to keep their costs as low as possible. But it's government policy that's driving those costs up for them, and it's just absolutely ridiculous.
So we've been talking about the removal of the carbon tax, and this week there are many stories in the news. Let's watch an exchange in the House of Commons with the leader of the official opposition.
Well, we have someone now auditioning for the job of Prime Minister.
There we go.
And the cat's away. The mice will play, but we don't need any more of this chaos. The NDP would actually do its job and hold this government to account. They would announce today they would vote in accordance with the views of the NDP in BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and now Manitoba, all of whom agree that people in cold climates, whether it be in Timmins or Kapuskasing or Churchill, should enjoy tax-free heat. So will they vote to keep the heat on by taking the tax off, or will they once again serve this out-of-touch Prime Minister?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As I've said a number of times, and perhaps the Honourable Leader of the Opposition has not heard me, the home heating oil is up to 4 times as expensive as natural gas. It creates challenges with respect to affordability for Canadians. We have come forward with a plan that applies in every province and territory in this country that will address that particular issue in a manner that will be affordable, that will ensure long-term savings for families, but will do so in a manner that continues the fight against climate change, a fight against climate change that would not happen if he was in the other side of the House.
Hey, we just got a little over a minute left. The leader of the opposition says there's carbon tax chaos. Would you explain to the listeners what chaos Pierre is talking about and what our opposition motion would do for Canadians and why the government is not supportive of it?
Yeah, so the Liberal government has exempted the carbon tax from home heating oil, all across the country. Now, home heating oil is predominantly used out in Atlantic Canada. There's a few places in Ontario that would use it as well, but predominantly it's where the Liberals are starting to lose their grasp on seats, and that's why they put this this exemption of the carbon tax on that particular source for home heating oil. We're just simply asking for the same exemption to be applied on all sources that are used to heat one's home, like natural gas, like we have here overwhelmingly in Saskatchewan and across most of Canada is what people are using. So apply the tax equally. That's the way that our federalism is supposed to work.
Okay, we're going to go to break and we're going to come back. We're going to talk about some of the other comments some other ministers made this past week when we come back from break.